The Dangerous Curse of Chocolate by C.R.A.F.T.S. Around the world, there is one interesting curse. The curse is awareness. Because it's true. Lots of chocolate sold all over the world is made with cocoa beans harvested with slave and or child labor. You see, about 62% of all the cocoa beans in the world are grown in Côte d'Ivoire and Ghana, which are two countries in Africa that have rampant child labor and slavery problems on their cocoa farms. So all you need to know from now is that all the major chocolate companies buy at least some of their cocoa beans from countries that still have slave and child labor problems. So you should assume that all chocolate from companies that can't promise that they don't get their cocoa beans from sources that use slave labor probably do. So now, for the rest of your life probably, every time you're about to munch on a chocolate bar, or at least every time you're about to buy one, you'll have a terrible choice to make. You can either choose to financially support an industry that forces children in Africa to continue working in the cruel and dangerous conditions of cocoa plantations, or you can never buy anything with chocolate in it ever again. No more chocolate bars, no more chocolate chip cookies, no more Oreos, no more Reese's Cups, no more Milky Ways, no more Moosh Drinks, no more brownies, no more Nutella, and of course, no more M&Ms. Unless you're cool with living with a regret for being complicit with a system that forces children to work long hours in dangerous conditions to the exclusion of their education, that is. You might be thinking, so what? Lots of products we use every day are probably made with the pelps of baby seals or whatever. In the modern age, we rely on a fast, reliable, global network of supply and production lines to feed and clothe ourselves, and the only way we can be completely sure our purchasing decisions are causing some kind of harm somewhere is if we all grew everything we needed on our own personal farms. There are way too many people for that to work out, so there is no way we can guarantee that everyone we're supporting financially gets a 100% A+ ethical business practices rating from the Dalai Lama. And yeah, it's probably not fair to expect people to buy all their groceries from completely ethical sources 100% of the time. Even if the companies are doing something shady to make their products, people might not necessarily be able to find an alternative to the products they need. But that's the thing about chocolate. There are not many people that need chocolate to survive. It's a luxury item. So if you have a shoulder injury with any degree of competence, you're not likely to come up with an excuse to stop buying it. I'm not saying it won't be difficult. Like many Yanks, we too partake in the time-honored American tradition of ingesting enough calories of junk food between every meal to feel ready to Japan for relevance. So when we all started trying to eliminate chocolate from our diets, we became acutely aware of how much the diabetes industry likes to shovel this stuff into our favorite snack foods. The list I rattled off earlier didn't come from nowhere. Saying goodbye to chocolate will probably mean saying goodbye to lots of our favorite candies and desserts, but it's something we need to do. Having access to a cheap supply of Three Musketeers bars is not worth supporting a system that forces children to toil in cocoa plantations with dangerous tools instead of letting them go to school. However, we aren't throwing you out in any lines without ammo and supplies, because we're going to give you a list of probably good slave-free alternatives to some popular chocolate snacks to fill the void. Not only will this help make avoiding slave chocolate easier, we think it'll help solve the slavery problem better than just straight up dropping chocolate altogether. Because if the world stopped buying chocolate cold turkey, then all cocoa farmers, whether they use slaves or not, would suddenly lose their income and probably their ability to feed themselves. And we also have to consider that a lot of the child labor is the result of parents getting their children to help them work on their farms. That's still bad because the children are being exposed to dangerous conditions and aren't getting an education. But taking away their parents' income is not going to make that situation better. And not only the farmers would suffer from the loss of business either, because anyone who does business with the farmers will probably lose customers as well. And that would probably include almost everyone in Côte d'Ivoire, because in 2017, cocoa beans in various forms accounted for 55% of Côte d'Ivoire's exports. So cutting that off from them all at once would probably do horrible things to their economy. What we really need to do is get the price of cocoa beans raised so that farmers can afford to hire legitimate workers and won't feel pressure to resort to slavery. So in that spirit, the people are starting their list of alternatives with Tony's Chocolate only. You can order their chocolate from their website. You can also find them at certain stores like Meijer and CVS. There's a store locator on their website to find them. They sell a variety of chocolate bars they strive to make without slavery. They still won't promise 100% slave-free chocolate, but among all the brands that people have looked at so far, they seem to be trying the hardest to actually solve the problem and tell everybody about it. You can't even open a Tony bar wrapper without finding out about the slavery issue. The reason why people brought up Tony's first is that they don't just try to keep slave cocoa out of their supply lines. They're actually trying to tackle the root of the problem by going out of their way to pay extra to farmers so they can afford to run their businesses with livable wages for their workers. And that's why Tony's gets the strongest recommendation out of everything on this list. But Tony's only makes chocolate bars. What about other chocolate stuff? Well, if you need chocolate chips, try the ones made by Equal Exchange at Kroger. You may have to order them from Kroger's website, though, because they may not have them at your local store. Instead of Oreos, you could get packages of Newman's O's from Newman's Own on Amazon or certain Krogers. They got regular filling, chocolate filling, peanut butter filling, and mint-flavored ones. Newman's Own also makes some double chocolate chip cookies that you might like. Instead of M&Ms, then you could try the Unreal brand chocolate gems. For candy bars with more than just chocolate, you could try Zotter, although they're pretty expensive even compared to the other stuff that were mentioned. People really like the buttery caramel bars though, so they're a great Milky Way substitute. Unfortunately, people haven't really found a good Reese's Cup replacement. The Justin peanut butter cups taste a little too planty to them, and Theo only made dark chocolate peanut butter cups at first. However, later on, Theo did make the milk chocolate peanut butter cups as well, and they were pretty good. And finally, people couldn't find any slave-free chocolate milk, but they did find some slave-free chocolate syrup at Kroger, so you can make chocolate milk with that. And those are all the chocolate stacks that people liked and found good replacements for. They're still looking for replacements for stuff like brownies, ice cream, and potato chips, though. If anyone knows any good slave-free alternatives to any of these, please let the people know. And hopefully, someday we'll make chocolate 100% slave-free.